Man, what a disaster. Nicholas Meyer once said that art thrives on limitations, and this is the kind of thing he's talking about. When you have a filmmaker making his latest film without limit, this is usually what you get: an out-of-control, overindulgent piece of crap that quickly gets carried away with itself. Tim Burton had had a long-standing and very deserved reputation for making great-looking films that aren't about anything. Not only is this about nothing, but it isn't even his best-looking film to date. Not even at the time. I mean, his visual films may not have been the most substantial, but I can admit that I liked Tim Burton's films some of the time. I liked Beetlejuice, and Edward Scissorhands was... Well, I liked Beetlejuice. But this time... this movie just sucks. Batman Returns has one crucial flaw, and you've probably already guessed what it is. It's not about anything. The plot is that this creepy short dude called the Penguin comes up from the sewers and has a fiendish plan. So, since he actually has a plan, you're thinking, okay, well, at least this is going to be better than the first Batman, since the villain at least wants something this time. But no. Once he gets up there, the Penguin meets Max Schreck, who convinces him to hatch his evil scheme on the poor people of Gotham. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's what would have happened if this movie had been good. Max Schreck convinces him to run for public office. I'm not kidding. He convinces an interesting-looking comic book supervillain to run a political campaign. Man, oh man, just feel the excitement. See, Max is a businessman who wants to use the Penguin as a puppet to hatch his evil plan of stealing Gotham's power. So the only villain who even has a hint of motivation and master plan isn't even one of the Batman villains. Max Schreck is so generic that he's actually played by Christopher Walken, the go-to guy to play any generic villain. No offense, Christopher, I love you, but still... don't you think the main Batman villain should be the actual threat in this film, and the generic villain should be the puppet? Like, imagine if the Penguin wasn't in this movie and Max just found an up-and-coming candidate to get behind. You could actually remove the Penguin from this film and nothing would really change. But for some reason, the Penguin says, alright, well, I already had a plan to take over Gotham, and me running for mayor is really off the point and won't help me with that, but... sure, I'll just spend most of this film running for mayor, why not? In addition to this, we also have Catwoman, who I don't understand at all. She's this small, mousy woman until she gets thrown out of a window and a bunch of cats run around her, then she wakes up and behaves completely different from the woman she was. I mean, what happened? Did the cats resurrect her as another person? Did she survive the fall and get brain damage? What's going on here? And even weirder is that this woman actually has 9 lives. I'm serious. She dies 8 times in the film and still keeps going. How the hell did that happen? Did she always have 9 lives? Did you just need to throw her out a window to activate her cat powers? Did the cats give her cat powers and 9 lives? What's going on here? The relationship between Catwoman and Batman kind of sucks. It's almost all a physical relationship that isn't interesting and is a bit immature, but the relationship between Bruce Wayne and Selina Kyle is actually pretty good. They can relate to each other without even knowing it because they both have dual identities. But the bottom line is that Catwoman doesn't want anything, and she mostly just goes on random rampage after random rampage to fill scenes in the film. And that really goes for all the other villains, too. I mean, how can you have this many villains in a film and still have nothing going on? The fights are meaningless, the plot goes nowhere until a new scheme is hatched in the end, and there is nothing at stake in this picture, again, until the tail end of the film. Another thing I'm sick of is the cheap, easy way out motivations for all the characters. Why was the Joker doing what he was doing? Because he's crazy. Why is Batman doing what he's doing? Because he's crazy. Why is Penguin doing what he's doing? Because he's crazy. Why is Catwoman doing what she's doing? Because she's crazy. That's not automatically a good motivation, and it's miles away from deep. Oh yeah, and you know what? Batman is in this movie too. I almost forgot to mention that because the movie doesn't really notice him this time. I think the Batman of the Tim Burton films is probably the most upstaged character in the history of films. No matter how interesting he could be, they always put the focus on the villain, which absolutely hurts because the villains never have anything interesting to do. The only part I liked in this movie is when the Red Triangle Gang sabotages the Batmobile. It gives you the feeling that Batman is not invulnerable. He's a man like you and me, and he's not immune to other people's plans or sabotage. It's also the only time in either of the first two films that I felt Batman was being challenged by anything. But we're talking about one scene in a 2-hour movie, and the rest is completely worthless. Batman Returns is by far the worst serious Batman film ever made, and it's style over substance taken to its furthest extremes. It might be interesting to look at times, but it has no real relevance outside of the visual. Overall, it's a complete dud.